welcome to today's episode of Show Me Your Stack. Today I'm sitting down with Daniel Blaser, who's coming from SharedKit. I'm so excited to hear what's in Daniel's tech stack review. So let's jump in and see what Daniel has. Hi, and welcome to Show Me Your Stack. Today I'm sitting down with Daniel Blaser. Daniel, can you give us a little intro about yourself and where you're at and what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. My background is in different types of marketing, and more recently, I've been at a few different companies, B2B SaaS companies, doing a lot of customer marketing specifically. And then I also am a little bit of an entrepreneur on the side, and I have a SaaS platform that I released recently, which we can talk about more in a second.
Awesome. I'm so excited to hear more. Before we jump into that, let's shuffle up and see what's in your tech stack review. So starting at number 5, what do you have for us?
Yes, I have LinkedIn actually, which is a double-edged sword, I think, for a lot of people that use LinkedIn. It can be a time suck and full of narcissists, but if you use it the right way, it can also be very helpful, and especially when it comes to identifying customers that I want to, potentially work with, or also to help enable the internal sales enablement, getting content into the right hands, and then getting that shared out into the world. LinkedIn can be very effective. You just have to make sure you're using it the right way. So I'm reluctant to put it on the list, but I did. It feels like I need to.
I hear you there. I've actually not even thought about this same interview from myself. And I'm like, I think LinkedIn would have to land in my personal top 5 as well, just on the amount of time I spend on it and prospecting. And I'm with you there. So what do you have for us at number 4?
Yes, this one is a little bit ambiguous, but I'm just going to call it a good notes app. And I think everyone, it's too much of a personal thing. I have jumped between so many different notes apps over the last, 5 to 10 years. I really like simple, straightforward, like not a ton of formatting. Recently, I've been using that built-in Apple Notes app because it got good enough that I started using it, and I use that, all the time. Every meeting, every idea goes into a notes app. I know a lot of people like Notion as well. I think Notion is doing some cool things. There's another one called Obsidian, which I've also looked into. I've looked into GoodNotes. There's a lot of them out there. That's why it's almost hard to say. But I would definitely recommend, if you don't have a notes app that you like, keep looking around and find one that just kind of gels with the way that your brain works, because once you get one and you can rely on it, it's been really helpful for me.
Yeah, you mean my Post-it note, isn't it?
I wasn't going to say anything. I mean, I've got a card of notes right here, so I still use, paper and pen sometimes, but I know that those disappear so easily, or you're like, I knew I took a note and it's really important. Where did it go? That happens too far,
I like the Apple Notes as well, just with the seamlessness of your phone. I'm with you there, because it's like, it's Saturday and I had this idea that I want to revisit on Monday morning. So in the phone, straight to my laptop. I hear you there. Apple's made it pretty hard to get away from their products with the seamlessness of it.
Yes, absolutely. I will say one other cool thing is, if you do take a handwritten note, maybe you already know this, but you can take a picture of it, and you can either kind of bring it into your notes app as a scan or a photo or whatever. But they recently added handwriting recognition and text recognition on images. And it's not perfect, but you can go in there and copy the text from an actual handwritten note, and it does a fairly good job too. So that's the other thing, is if I do take a note that I'm like, I do need to make sure that I don't lose this, I'll just take a picture of it and bring it into the notes app for safekeeping.
I just found that. Thank you.
Yeah. Play around with it. It's cool.
I love that. That is awesome. Sometimes this is my favorite thing about this podcast, is it's always the simplicity ones that get me.
Yeah.
And it's funny, with all the tech companies and everything out there, most people's tech stacks are actually quite simple.
Yes.
So I love it. All right, what do you have at three?
Yes. Number three is a platform called Riverside, which is basically a better version of Zoom for recording. I use it a lot for customer interviews. And I don't need to go into the technical side too much, but I'll just say, like, if you're using Zoom, Google Meet, some of those other ones, they're basically compressing the audio and the video down a lot, where Riverside doesn't. It's using the full capability of someone's webcam or their microphone or whatever, recording it at the highest possible quality, so that when you're going in to make a customer video or a testimonial or whatever, you have the best possible quality to work with, which really does make a difference.
I agree. We're recording on Riverside right now. I love its AI capabilities too. The magic clips and the key phrases. It makes editing, especially into Canva, just really simple. So it
Yeah.
works really great with other editing tools too. All
Yeah.
right, what's at number two?
Yeah, so this one is a kind of a cheat answer. I'm bucketing like three things into one, which we'll just call like content creation tools. So in that bucket, I'm including Figma, Final Cut Pro, and Adobe Audition. Figma is for graphic design, collaboration, stuff like that. Final Cut Pro is for video editing, and then Audition is for audio editing. So those are like the three that I'm in and out of all the time when I'm working on some of these customer
Mhm.
videos. Quote graphics, images, going back and forth with our graphic designer, stuff like that.
I love that. Yes, I feel like those three work very seamlessly together and just make sense almost as one tech stack. So I like that you did that. All right, what's your number one? You're probably in this all day long, every day.
Yes. I am going to choose Arc Browser, which is a web browser that I don't know. Have you heard of it? You smiled, so maybe you've heard of it.
Yeah, so Super works on a Chrome extension, but a lot of our users are starting to use Arc, and Super is now working on Arc. So this has been a topic of conversation internally at our team too. So.
Nice. Yeah, Arc is really cool. I think that if you kind of kick the tires on it, like the thing that sticks out to you the most, like or the fastest, is the
Mhm.
way that it handles different tabs. And like, if I think a lot of us, like, we have, by the end of the day, you have maybe 100 tabs open, and
Legit.
yeah, and Arc kind of like helps manage that chaos a little bit. Then they have a lot of just cool features, like another one, going back to the tab thing. You can set it so that every 24 hours or 36 or different increments, it just clears all of your tabs. So you can save the ones that you want to like hang around, but it also just kind of like
Mhm.
declares tab bankruptcy for you, to keep things from getting too far out of hand. And there's also they have a lot of really cool AI features that are built in that are not just like gimmicky. They're actually really
Right.
useful.
Right. I know I kept saying maybe 2 years ago, I was like, I just want a categorizing system for tabs. Like I
Yeah.
was like, why can't Google do this yet? Because it's like, yeah, I just want one set of tabs for one project and another, and then I can name them at the bottom of my screen and open up. So I love that finally it exists. And yeah, I hear you on that one. I love it. All right, let me recap. So at five, we have LinkedIn. At four, we have Apple Notes. At three, Riverside. Two, we have content platforms, Figma, Final Cut, and Adobe. And then at one, we have Arc Browser. So with that tech stack review, what are you most excited for? You work in SaaS, you talk to customers all the time. What are you hearing?
Yeah, I mean, this is like a cliche answer, but it really is all about different ways to use AI right now, right? And my number one, and I decided to save it for like what I'm excited about, is I've been using Perplexity lately, which is kind of like a Chat GPT alternative.
Hmm.
I personally have been enjoying it more. I think it's more useful for a bunch of different reasons, but I also am like so excited to see what that looks like 6 months from now, 12 months from now. And then within all of the tools, the tools we've talked about, there's a bunch that we all use that we didn't talk about today. I feel like there's a lot of AI features being added, and half the time they're kind of like, okay, like you're like,
Yeah.
I guess this is good so that you can say that you have AI. But we give it a little bit more time, I think, and then there's going to be more like actually useful AI features that get
Right.
added. And so that's really what I'm excited for. Perplexity has been really great, and then like to see the next version and the next version, and I'm sure there'll be another one that will dethrone
Right.
Perplexity. It's just really it's a cool time to be into technology right now, I think.
I love that. I've heard about Perplexity a couple times now. And yes, all the AI bots, like I heard about Monica last week. I'm like, there's a named one. So I love hearing how people are using them and as they evolve and get smarter. And like, I think ChatGPT was like version one. And now it's cool to see like the evolving of everything else. And it's like, I sat down with someone who's like, oh, I use Monica specifically for like branded content on my own because it knows my brand better, where I'm using Perplexity for customer facing objects and things like that. So I love that. All right. What are you working on? What are you building right now?
Yeah, I kind of mentioned this at the beginning. So I recently launched, and recently, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I mean, so very recently,
Hmm.
launched a little side project called ShareKit, and it's kit with two T's, like a kitten. But ultimately, it was built purely based on something that I wanted to exist in my own workflow that I could never find. It's a
Yeah.
very simple employee advocacy platform for a lot of times for social media use. So if you think in terms of like you've got a big announcement coming up, a product launch, an event, like we have these different milestones in companies, and you want to try to get everyone saying the right messaging, using the right graphics. You want to make sure that everything is really dialed in, because otherwise, like you're not going to get the full bang for your buck when it
Right.
comes to kind of these big milestones. So ShareKit is a really easy way to compile all those assets. It's really easy for people to use, copy paste messaging very quickly, and then there's analytics built in too, so it's got a leg up on Google Docs. So yeah, definitely
I
just
love
built
it.
out of something I wanted to exist, and now it does. So that's kind of fun.
I love it. Because I mean now it's like Slack blast when you wake up Monday morning at 7 a.m. and it's like, okay, here's the assets, here's our product launch, run. And there's like, okay, well, who posted? Then you're combing through LinkedIn, especially like at Super, we use this phrase called surround bound, where we talk about all of us posting at the exact same time and commenting and sharing links. Um, and so I love that you're creating something that would be so useful for that, where we could say, like, okay, sales, you're going to comment in this direction. And it's really targeted to the sales following, where marketing probably has a different message of followers, and just packaging all those options up versus just a Slack blast of chaos, or a Google Drive where like assets live in sub places that you're jumping all over. So I'm excited to see what that looks like, and we'll have to chat. I'd love to demo and see what's there. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like you said, it's all about not making people jump all over the place. And the other thing that I personally hate is, hey, here's one more platform, here's one more login. Oh, did you forget your
right,
password? So that's the other thing is it's all like a lot of it is built around just kind of like read only access. You can give everyone at your company a unique URL. They can jump in and out, and they don't have to like create their own password. It's just like go in 5 seconds, move on with your day. So yeah, love to
I
talk
love
more.
that. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me today and sharing a little bit about what you're working on, what you're doing. Any final thoughts for our listeners?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you said it, I guess, a second ago, but like for any of these tools that I called out, it's all about finding the one that works best for you. And kind of maybe I do that a little bit obsessively where I'm like always kind of looking for like, oh, am I missing something? Is there another one that, maybe it could be doing whatever a little bit better than the tools that I'm currently using. So anyway, I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing because things are evolving so quickly that
Right.
there are really great opportunities to save time and work more efficiently and all that good stuff. But if you're just
Totally.
kind of like sitting back like, well, I've used this thing and I'm comfortable with it, you're probably going to miss out. So keep your eyes open, I guess.
I love that. Don't miss out. No FOMO here. I love it. Okay, well, thank you so much for everything and for sharing what you're working on. And I'm excited to see more.
Yeah, thank you, Ashley. Appreciate it.
Let's shuffle up and show me your tech stack, where every episode is a high stakes reveal of the tools that are aces in our guest book, where chips are down and digital decks are on the table. Are you ready for the best in class tech? Let's deal these cards and see what comes up. Who's ready to double down on digital innovation with me?